Well, welcome back. Those were the opinions of Nigerians, Abuja residents specifically, on the state of the nations and their expectations from the next government that should emerge in February or come February 25th. I'm joined now in the studio by legal practitioner Kelechi Anwu. He joins me now to do some justice to the matter. Welcome and good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Amadin. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming. All right, let's start with, what happened yesterday, the release of the final voter register by INEC, before we relate it to some of those demands or yearnings by Nigerians. We have that 93,469,008 persons are registered to vote. What do you make of this number? Do you think it might signify any change this time around?
Yes, the number is amazing. It's in the right direction. It shows we are making progress. A country of over 200 million, and then we have 93 million registered voters. We are making progress. But however, I have some concern. You recall during the display of voters' card, we had cost to take a queue and take a view into those the registrants and persons who were eligible to vote. And unfortunately for the electoral system, we saw multiple of young voters, underage voters. I am very concerned that there has not been any proper cleanup. When I mean the INEC yesterday said they recorded about over 55,000, but from what we saw during that voter display, it was a state could be more than that. We have 55,000. A state. I recall during those periods, I went through one of the states and I went through one of the local governments. What I saw in one local government was awful to talk about. So I am a bit concerned that even at these concerns being raised by the general public and members of Nigeria, we've not been able to, the INEC has not been able to do a proper cleanup and thereby coming up with eligible registrants. When I mean eligible registrant, the Constitution defined who is eligible to vote and who should be voted for. So we must have that distinction between persons who are eligible to be registered. At the moment, we have litany of persons, both qualified and disqualified persons who are on the register. The INEC should do justice and bring a cleaner registration process.
Right, that's fair enough. But looking at the breakdown, do you think there might be more interest this time around? Some persons are predicting more voter turnout, while others are actually saying the reverse might be the case. Well, where do you think it might swing this time around?
Yes, I predict even with the last assuming without considering that there was no further registration, you could see that we have a very different election where we have 18 candidates. It's no longer a two-horse race. We have 18 candidates with at least 6 major contestants. 6 major contestants. We've not had it this glorious and amazing, where we have persons who are interested. So you see this reawaken the consciousness, the people's wanting to vote. No, previously we could have more people lackadaisical, like is it not just APC and PDP, but today we have parties who we are not fully participant in the previous election, pulling crowds that we cannot even, they've never pulled. So that's tell you we have more people interested, we have more viable options at the moment. You look at the options we have. In NNPP, we have Dr. Kwankwaso, we have Atiku Abubakar of the PDP, we have Tinubu of the APC, we have P2B of the Labour Party, we have Sowore of the AAC, we have the SDP, Adebayo of the SDP. These are brilliant Nigerians, very brilliant, with crowds all over Nigerians churning for them, coming out in mass to support them. So you begin to see it's exciting because it draws out more people to come out and vote. Previously, people could ordinarily sit down in their homes. They do not want to participate. But now we have more people participating. We have more people, and to crop it all, we have more registration at the moment. That's to show you. We have more number of people who are going to vote. So I am a bit encouraged that we are going to have what we have not had, most especially in numbers.
Right, that's fair enough. It will be interesting to see the spread, if there's any, because some persons believe even with the persons on the ballot that it's still a two-horse race at the end of it when everything is broken down. So it will be good to see that spread. We'll look forward to that. But in the meantime, let's still talk about, politics generally. We saw that the parties passed a vote of confidence on the INEC chairman. I wonder, how do you think his tenure would be remembered? It is under his tenure that we have the Electoral Act being passed. So he has the, the special privilege to be able to hold elections or organize elections within that period. Do you think this period might be different in terms of how easy it used to be for politicians to, steal elections? Do you envisage difficulty this time around?
I think there has been a serious improvement in regards to what there was, what it was, and what it is now. We still have expectation in what it ought to be. Now, I will rate him. I will rate him good, but not very good. Good. Let it just be at good. Mm-hmm. Now, why do I say so? Yes, under his regime, we've had some improvement. Like he brings in. He complemented on the technology, because I won't say he brought in. Jega started with introducing the card readers, and then he improved by bringing beavers. And now he is bringing electronic transmission, of which, if you remember, in 2015 and 2019, that was a very serious challenge, even in the election tribunal. We lawyers, we had a cost to go into that angle, whether there has been any provision for technological use in either the Constitution or the Electoral Act. And you also see the new Electoral Act makes provision, specific provision for an inclusion of technology into our electoral system. I will rate him good. He has done amicably, but that will. I expect that he should write his name in sands of time. He should write his name so he will be remembered. How will he do that? Now, it is for you to be. You are an umpire. Be an unbiased umpire. Be a firm umpire that will give the Nigerian populace, the Nigerian electorate, what they really desire: a free, fair, and credible election. Election without pitch. Election without hitches. Election that can be seen and be held like it was fair and credible. With that, if he's able to do that, if he's able to allow the Nigerian populace, the Nigerian electorate, decide for themselves, and not any of the process leading to this election and any of the process during the election being manipulated. If he's able to do that, he would have written his name in the sands of time.
That's fair enough. What about the worries that were initially expressed that if insecurity continues, it could lead to postponement or cancellation? Eventually, we saw that in the report there just before that Vox Pop, where he said categorically elections will hold February 25 and March 11. But I wonder, as a citizen, do you have any worry that there will be instances of insecurity that might, mar the elections?
On the one part, I am very, very positive as a Nigerian that we are going to have our election on the 25th of February and on the 11th of March. But on the second part, I am also concerned. I am not worried, but I am concerned that we are going to have a pocket of violence, a pocket of issues, a pocket of security concerns. But you get to look at it. We've passed through the most turmoil periods. You remember in 2015, we were at the peak of our insecurity. Also in 2019.
Right. Just hold that thought for a moment. Let's quickly hear from a caller. Good afternoon. You're on to the Polity.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. Are you?
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm fine. My name's Anwu Yusuf Bawali.
All right, Mr. Yusuf. Welcome back.
I'm calling from Kaduna State.
Welcome. Please go ahead.
Thank you. As usual, I'm highly excited for watching this program, Amadine.
Thank you.
You're trying all your best.
Thank you very much.
And we are welcoming your guest. He's trying all his best too.
Thank you so much.
Nigerian politics has changed completely. Because, as what your guest says, this is the first time in this country that we have many presidential candidates and that are so powerful and they are even capable to win the election. And my call is usually going to Nigerians, my fellow Nigerians. Please and please, we should forget about APC and PDP. These two parties will never, and they will never restore peace in this country. There is no way for them to bring something that is positive to Nigerians, because we all tested them and they failed us, and they are the ones that even put us in this kind of mess that we are. PDP spent 16 years for nothing in this country. And Amadine, look at their presidential candidate now. Look at the viral video and audio that is going on in social media about the allegations of corruption about him. This person is the kind of leader that we want in this country? No. And look at the presidential candidate of the APC. Another problem too. We have the likes of Prince Adewale of the SDP. We have the likes of Senator Rabiu Musa Onkoso. They are highly brilliant people. They are highly brilliant. You understand? Our people should forget about the issue of party. They should forget about the issue of money. You have huge amount of money and the rest. We want someone that can rescue this country. You understand? And our people should forget about the issue of religion, ethnicity, and regionality. If we want this country, we should forget about all that kind of issues. And the ones that are downgrading us. Nigeria needs rescue. Nigeria needs rescue. But PDP and APC are not answer for the problem of this country.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for calling, Mr. Yusuf. Thank you. Yeah, I think you heard from him there. Please go ahead, what you're saying.
Yes, like I was saying, and just like our caller said, we have a veritable tool in our hands as Nigerians. So you see, at the moment we have all it takes to turn this country around, from the candidates who are coming up, to political parties, to the electoral system, and to the electoral umpire. Now, the INEC chairman, he has in this couple of days shown that he can be relied on, but I do not know if that will be in continuation throughout this process. But I strongly believe, and I hope he should be. We should be able to rely on him to deliver a very good election.
All right. Let's hear from another caller now. Good afternoon. You're on to the Polity. What's your name and where are you calling from? Your name, please.
Hello?
Yes, your name, please.
What contribution to your program that is on now?
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead. We can hear you clearly.
So, what our advice is, hello?
We can hear you. Please turn down the volume of your TV. It's interrupting.
Hello?
Turn down the volume of your TV so we can hear you better.
So, my advice is just to contribute to Nigeria. Hello?
We can hear you. Please turn down the volume of your TV set.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
All right. Turn down the volume of your TV set.
Mine is also advice to Nigerians.
All right, go ahead.
Nigerians should not look on anybody, but they should look unto God.
Okay.
And hear from God whom they are going to elect in this 2023.
All right. Has God spoken to you?
Hello?
I said, has God spoken to you? Who has he told you will come out?
Hello?
Can you hear me? Well, we lost that call. He says Nigerians should speak to God, and I think everyone can talk to God and come back with a different answer.
Yes, it's an interesting thing that we should speak to God, but there are certain things we human beings should also be able to decide for ourselves, and then let God direct us.
All right. Now let's move over to more trending issues. I think we'll take one call before we head over to the Enugu rally by the APC, the ruling party. But let's hear from this caller first. Good afternoon. What's your name and where are you calling from? Hello? You're very faint. I don't know. Can you move closer to your phone? Lost that call. This particular caller has been trying to call for quite a while. Please do try and call in again. Be sure to take your call so you can make your contribution. Let's go back now to the APC rally in Enugu State. The candidate made some comments, and I'd like your thoughts on it. He said he basically advised the people of the state and the region to make sure they work completely for him, because if he doesn't get to the quote-unquote the promised land, they would get no recognition for the work that they've put in. And he used one of his parables. He says they will not get more than a soaked slice of bread, according to his words. What do you make of this statement?
That's an absurd statement to make. It's a bizarre statement for a political leader to make. Now, various parts of Nigeria has been existing before this election, even pre our independence. If he take down his memory lane, anchoring a quota of development to his election, his own primary election, it's an absurd statement. I believe we need a leader who can be able, in as much as people do not vote for any region, do not vote for you, but at the end of the day you emerge as a president. And that's why the constitution pegs it that you must get 25% of vote cast in at least 2/3 majority of the states. That means you must get at least 25% of the vote cast in 25 states of the 36 states of the federation, including the FCT. You are a president of Nigeria. You are not a president of a particular region. So you making this kind of statement puts you on the position that you're only going to be president for the people that vote with the highest vote for you. Does that make sense? It's an election. We have various 18 candidates on the board. You don't expect a 100% vote for yourself. You are not God. So you should allow Nigerians decide who they want. But at least when you get there, when you're elected, assuming without considering that he's elected, you should be president for every sector of Nigeria, every region of Nigeria, irrespective of the number of votes they gave you.
Just to cut in there, but what is special about the politics of the Southeast? There seems to be a certain kind of messaging that comes when campaigns are held in that region. We can take a look at the different campaigns. With the PDP, we see different persons saying Atiku is the best bet to an Igbo presidency or a Southeast presidency. Through him, you will get an Igbo presidency. We've seen some members from the Southeast, take for instance Arthur Inze, the governor of Anambra State, Chukwuma Soludo, all saying that another candidate is hurting the chances of the Igbo people, while this candidate or this party is a better, step to presidency for that region. I wonder, is there something specific about the region that brings this kind of rhetoric?
These are in the past years, we've had the Southeast of Nigeria have had leaders who are not true to themselves and to their people. We've had leaders who are very, very they lack that developmental idea for the general developmental idea, except their pocket developmental ideas. Now we have leaders who are confined to their personal interest. They put their personal interests ahead. After the Civil War in 1973, we've not had the southeastern part of Nigeria key in properly in the scheme of things in Nigeria. There has been this disunity, lack of trust for that side of the country. But unfortunately, the eastern part of Nigeria has somehow learned how to manage themselves by themselves. They have learned how to multiply their things by means of private and collective efforts, away from the government effort. Now we've had people in government who only think about how to better themselves and accumulate more wealth, and not speaking directly on how to develop Southeast. Pre the Civil War, we used to have the Aba as an industrial city. We used to have Onitsha as a hub of trade. We used to have Abakaliki as the hub of rice. Those days we have the Abakaliki rice being exported outside Nigeria. In those days we had the Enugu, the coal city where you mine coals, and it was the bane of development for the country. But at the moment, we have not had leaders who think about developing those things. Those things we had pre those war period. Now we have people making promises they cannot keep. We've had people come to give statements that they cannot be able to defend. Now, at the moment, we are looking for Nigerians who are true to the leadership of Nigeria. Nigerians who are true to developmental ideas that will be for the general public and not for the individual members of their family. So for somebody coming out to say, if you do not vote for a particular candidate, you will be denied a social amenity that is meant for Nigerian. Such statement is unconstitutional. And even if they try it, it will not stand, because people like me, a lawyer like me, will have to go to court to challenge such action.
If you only get your soaked sliced bread, is that is how
it is? It is an absurd statement to make. The Constitution of Nigeria provides that Nigeria is for everybody. So the amenities of Nigeria should be shared equally to everybody. You do not need to share bread and give a loaf and slice to a particular section.
So slice, yeah. So let's talk more about his own party members. Do you think perhaps there might be a rift? And let's list out a couple of persons who perhaps would have been expected to be there. The Minister of Foreign Affairs is from Enugu State, Geoffrey Onyema. He was not there. Former Senate President Kenny Namani, he was also not there.
There were a whole list of people who were not there.
Sullivan, Chime.
We had Boniono. They were not there. So Martin Kelechi.
And if you recall, at some point, one of the disgruntled members of the APC, if I recall correctly, Bapashe Lawal, spoke about some level of unfairness towards that region in terms of the campaigning so far. How do you think this would turn out, or the people of the Southeast would react to this on the election day proper. Before you answer, let's take this call real quick. Good afternoon. You're on to the Polity. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Good afternoon. My name is
please take that again.
My name is I'm calling from Benue State.
All right, go ahead.
Program.
You said?
I said I like the program.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank you. I have advice of Nigeria youth. So we
Okay.
should not vote for.
They should not vote for who?
We should vote for the right candidate.
Okay.
Those other two parties that have suffered Nigeria youth, and they will fail us.
Okay.
So now we can vote for our parties. Choose for the right candidate and vote.
Thank you
And
very much.
nobody should go out to fight or burn things this time. Because those people, their children there, they have 5 countries schooling. Or yes, no fun. But after they will send you now, they'll go and kill you, then you lost your life and they'll still be ruling. That's the advice I have for you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for calling. Thank you. Just before we go back to the conversation, he said something very interesting there. For young persons out there, do not be involved in any form of electoral violence or malpractice. Like he said, some nefarious politicians do use the children of other persons to perpetrate these crimes while their children are having a life of it. So be careful with that. All right, please go ahead. How the region
Yes, as I was saying, the region has not been fairly treated. We've had government do things in other regions. We had government build railways, build institutions, but that of the Southeast, we've not really had a very good rapport with powers at the top. Now, if you recall, post the war, we used to have the train running from Enugu down to Kano. Now, at the moment those train tracks, those railway lines are all fading and they are all gone. Now, the government built a railway from here to Niger and abandoned the Enugu railway, maintenance of the Enugu railway that has been from here, Enugu to Kano. That is an unfair treatment to that region. Now, we've also had the government cite 1 or 2 things and then bring in 1 or 2 things. If you recall, before now, we used to have ports all over Nigeria. We used to have our Asaba port, we used to have the Port Harcourt port, we used to have Calabar port, we have the Lagos port, whereas presently, we only have just one functional port, the Lagos port. Now, Onitsha has what it takes to have a port because they have the water, they have the deep water. So we also have the Delta port. It's supposed to be functional. So these are areas. Now look at the second Niger bridge. Now the government is painting it that they've done a favor for the Southeast. How have you done a favor for the Southeast? It is in the boundary between the Southeast and the South-South. It is a bridge linking the Southeast and Delta State. It is a bridge connecting the eastern part of Nigeria to the south, and southwest. So you don't put it in a way that you are doing a favor for the Southeast. Every now and then we see people even from the north cross that bridge to any part, both either any part of the Southeast and even to south-south. That bridge connects a south-south state to another south-south state. For you to go from Delta State to Calabar, you pass that bridge, you go through the Asaba, you go through the Onitsha, you go through the Oka, Enugu, Ebonyi, and then you get to Calabar. Now, how does it become an southeastern amenity? It's an amenity that has been built to benefit Nigerians.
All right, let's quickly hear from this caller. Good afternoon. You're on to the Polity. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Thank you. My name is Comrade Ejike from Enugu State.
All right, Mr. Ejike. It's very good to hear from you from Enugu. Please, let's hear your thoughts.
Thank you. I want to commend the chairman of INEC for assuring Nigerians that the day is sacrosanct, that there will be no shift, there will be no shift of the election day. And I totally agree with your guest. You know, the Southeasterners have been marginalized, and I'm calling on Nigerian youth as a matter of urgency to use this opportunity to go and collect their GVC, so that we are going to change the narrative come this February general election. Thank you. Comrade Ejikolo from Enugu State.
Thank you very much, Comrade.
Thank you, Comrade. Thank you, Comrade. Now, as I was saying, the southeastern part of the country is an interesting part of the country. There is this saying in Igbo land that Igbo enweleze, meaning Igbo does not have a king. There is no single person that you will say, even from traditional histories, that you will say is one person that is speaking for the Igbo has never been spoken for by one person. Right from the days of our forefathers, it has been family age grades and family heads coming together to make decisions, and that's what we call the Igbo General Assembly. Now it has transcended beyond. These days we have persons who have made money and persons who have occupied 1 or 2 seats in the national government self-acclaiming to be Igbo leaders. Now we have elders. We have elder statesmen who gather and make decisions. We have sons and daughters, well-meaning sons and daughters, who gather to make collective decision. It is not a personal decision. Personal decision has never worked in.
Sorry to cause in there, but some persons believe what you described now might be what's holding the region back politically.
No, it is
on
not.
the national level.
No, it is not.
But we have other regions where one person can say, you know what, the rest of you stay back. Let this person go.
No, it is
but
not.
For the Igbos, everyone wants to. Is that in any way? Does it?
No, it does not. It makes the decision genuine. Like one person, they say in our place that a snake which one person sees might sometimes turn to a python. Now, when there are collective decision making, there are one person don't just get to choose for an entire whole populace. And now, most especially now that we have persons with nefarious mindsets, with minds to just acquire and keep on acquiring. Now you get to see people. We elect individuals to go to the House of Assembly, go to the National Assembly, and to even go to any, and we support them. But the point is, we have had more individuals who are more self-conscious, self-acquiring. They want to get what is on the table for the collective gain of the Southeasterners to their pocket. But what is going to change this time is we are going to have an election where people are going to participate. There is a political awakening. There is this consciousness awakening in the Southeast. You get to see people who are willing to close down their shop. Because for you to get to a point where you ask an Igbo man to close his shop, it means you have gotten him. Now we have people closing their shop. Even they demonstrated it during the registration of voters card, where they closed down the entire market. It's no longer business as usual. For this kind of people who close down their business, go for this kind of thing, it means there is fire on the mountain. And if someone can carefully read the room, you get to know that when people come out like this, and I laugh when I hear people say Nigeria, the Southeastern has a very short vote. They have minimal vote. Don't forget, there is no state in this country that you will not find a community of Igbo people, a community of Southeastern people. They have their vote registered. There are people who like traveling. There are people who they are like nomads. They reside in places that are not even their own and make it home. So they vote in those places. There is no point coming back to the Southeast just to vote. They can vote for whoever they want to vote for anywhere. It's a presidential election, and then someone in Sokoto, an Igbo man in Sokoto, can exercise his franchise and vote for any of his preferred candidate, be it SDP, be it PDP, be it Labour Party. They can vote conscientiously in Sokoto, and it will be recorded. So when somebody tells you there is only 10,000 registered, be 11,000 registered voters in Southeast, it does not collectively represent what the Igbo nation means and what the Southeast means. The Southeasterners are scattered all over the countries, and trust me, this time around, they will close their shops and vote.
That's fair enough. It's encouraging to hear that. Now let's really touch on some things. Like you heard from the when we sampled the opinions of some Nigerians, speaking about the things that they expect from the new government. Insecurity is still something that people are talking about. We saw the other person mention that he's for subsidy. Interestingly, we try not to be in an echo chamber where we hear the same opinions. If you go out there, you find that Nigerians have various opinions. Most of those opinions inspired by any sort of relationship to the government. This is their genuine opinion. So, but I'd like to get your own thoughts. In your own opinion, what do you think the next government should be facing first? That thing that they can solve to a large extent, that consolidates on everything that needs to move forward. Once such a thing is faced squarely, it can lead to perhaps a sense of calm so that Nigerians can begin to grow again.
Now, first of all, there need to be orderliness in the system. The first call any president will do is to bring orderliness to the system. Once you bring the orderliness to the system, there should be rank higher and fire. There should be a sanction for every action. So whatever actions that are not being taken well, your first month in the office should define what you want and what you intend to achieve with your administration. You should be able to set precedent with people's actions. Actions should have consequences. So those ways, we have an institutional reform. You don't need to start teaching people how to behave well. You just have to make example. And let's see justice being done. Nigerians will sit up. Why do you ask yourself, why do Nigerians, when you travel out where things are working well, including Rwanda here, when you go to Rwanda, things are working well. The streets are in orderly manner. And then the Nigerian comes in. He quickly adapts. That's to tell you it's not, we are not born with being deficient and being insane in our actions. We just roll with the system. So when we have a decisive leader, a leader who takes action and stands by his action, no matter whose horse is gone, that is the first point. Then the second point is we need to look at our institutions. We need to bring back the education, right, starting from the primary. We need to call a state of emergency on our education, starting from the primary, secondary, and to the tertiary education. That should be the front burner, because any country without a right education is heading to the doom. Now, also, we need to see that health is not a privilege. It's a right. Now, nobody chooses to be sick. Nobody chooses when he wants to be sick. Like someone like me, I don't like visiting the hospital. I never want to visit the hospital. When somebody falls sick, it should be taken serious. It should be that this is something beyond him. Now, what am I saying? I am saying our health sector needs a state of emergency on it. People, the doctors, the nurses, the administrators need to sit up. There need to be someone need to take responsibility, and consequences need to follow actions that happen in these places, so that people, when they should understand that they care for human life. And not only that, the government institution at the head should also set out the modalities of how to remunerate them. The whole thing should not be one-sided. Now, the third one is security. Security of both life and property. It's good that we should be alive. And we should, not only that we are alive, it's good that we should be secure in our environment. The fourth one will be the economy. If we're able to tackle all these things, trust me, in the next 1 year, Nigeria will be a tourist attraction. But if we are not, we will be like Somalia, God forbid.
Well, let's quickly talk about the scorecard series. I don't know if you've been following that. But we've seen a number of the ministries under President Muhammadu Buhari, the ministers come for their session of the scorecard, basically where they talk about what they've achieved. And a number of them have been quite generous with their own self-assessment. So I'd like to get your own view. In some of these key sectors, how would you rate the performance? I take, for instance, this government rates itself very highly when it comes to infrastructure.
I rate it low. I rate it very, very low. Now, in terms of infrastructure, we've not seen much of an infrastructure in this government, aside few that have just been set up. We are talking about a government that has spent 8 years, and have borrowed reason a debt level from 3 trillion from 17 trillion to 77 trillion. Now, there is nothing to show within those gaps. Now, in the last 16 years of PDP, which saw President Olusegun Obasanjo, Yaradua, and Goodluck Jonathan, we did not get to that point. They did not have such amount of debt. 3 of them joined together, did not accumulate the debt one government accumulated in 8 years. So you see, it is not, when you begin to measure what is on ground and what has been squandered and what we are not seeing, there is deficiency in things. There is an imbalance between what they have provided and what have been wasted. Now, if you begin to point out things that have been done in this administration, what can you point out? Second Niger Bridge that have been done by the government of Goodluck Jonathan. Now, we forget that the government of Yaradua alone spent 3 years and restored peace in the Niger Delta, brought in amnesty. And when we started having good inflow of crudes, now just 3.5 years, he brought peace in other part of the countries, built infrastructures, and did not borrow close to 77 trillion naira. Now, we begin to see the regime of Goodluck Jonathan, the things he was able to put on ground. Yes, this government did something, but what they have done is very low. Our education went from up to the bottom. At the moment, our certificates are not even what it should be in the market. If you take a visit to your village, go to your public primary schools, your secondary schools, within your village. I am a product of community primary school, owned by the government. Now, the things I am seeing and the things I see in the school I left, if you go there, you will shed tears. The structures that were left the way they were in the early 90s when I left them. That's how it is till date. Some of them are dilapidated. You see children reading in. There is nothing there was nothing done about education. A country that intends to move forward. Back in the days, we see UBEB erecting projects. We had UBE erecting projects, having programs for teachers, and then we have not had that in these 8 years of Buhari's administration. Now, we have also had in previous administration, we have like Ministry of Works and Housing, building housing estates. Like in my state where I come from, we still have federal housing estates in my state. But I have not seen any in the last 7.5 years. Now, in health sector, we used to have government hospitals functioning. In the last administration, I've seen more government hospitals either closed down or not being maintained. We've had our doctors leaving. We had more patients dying. So which sector of the economy? Is it the economy? Is it the transport sector? Take a look at in Abuja here, we used to have the long buses. Where are the long buses that conveyed people from in and out of Abuja? So which particular sector would you pick? Is it the water sector, water resources. Previously, we used to have waters running through our homes, but at the moment, we do not have such water. People rely on boreholes just to get access to water. So which sector would you say pick out and say in the last 7.5 years getting to 8 years, it has been amazing? Is it the security? You know, a reasonable person would have changed the security a very long time ago. Like you swap your security. If
this government has invested a lot in security.
They have told us they've invested a lot. But one thing is to tell us you've made investment. Another thing is to see dividends of your investment. If we are not seeing dividends of your investment, then nobody has been able to ask questions. Where did you invest? If I come now and give you money, will I say I have invested in Kaftan TV? Those are two different things. Now, the government must have put in a lot of money to the wrong channels. But have you been able to ask people you've made this investment? Show your scorecard. Give us your return of investment. Where are your return of investment? Investment are measured on returns. So if you make investments and you have no return, is it not a bad investment? And you're a bad investor. Yeah. So we can collectively say there is no sector of this economy of this country that you would say you will pick out and see, yes, this particular one has been amazing. The only person I will say have been amazing is the president's cameraman. That is the only person who has done marvelously well in the entire 8 years. Because each day he gives us a very beautiful picture of the president. That is the only person who has functioned in this government. Aside him, I can't see any other person.
Well, I'm sure a lot of persons beg to differ, but that will be another case for another day. Thank you very much for coming. It's always a pleasure
to have you, Mr.
Kelechi. Well, that's what we'll take this segment or this episode of the Polity. Do join us tomorrow and the rest of the weekdays, 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. every weekday, where we discuss politics, governance, state of the nation, and issues affecting the polity. Have a nice day. I'm Amadou Nobawe.